Actually, we have 500,000 cabins in Norway. And we are about 5 million people. Yeah, it's a tradition for getting out in the nature. It's a great tradition. Simplify all the way.
So this is your friend's farm?
Yeah. So here the wood kind of blends in with the other buildings at the farm and the surroundings. I call this woody. The name, it refers of course to the use of wood. Traditionally, we build in wood in Norway. I wanted to use as much wood as possible in this situation. All surfaces are clad with spruce, Norwegian spruce. Norway, vacation homes, they are getting bigger and bigger. And it's almost like a second home. I would like to make my own concept of a small house. When you are going to build smaller, you have to make it greater in a way. The landscape varies a lot in Norway. You have a lot of hills and mountains. I try to play with the forms, try to blend in with the Norwegian nature. Not only by using wood, but also to a characteristic identity of like the natural forms we have here. The traditional cabins in Norway were simple and small. You would go to the stream to get water. You had an oven for cooking and warming, and you had the outdoor house for toilet. So you were really close to nature. And I know in the 70s, the Norwegians started to have free on Saturdays. So then they could go out of town and stay. So that was a new opportunity to have a second home. And first they were small and simple, and then they got bigger and bigger, and the average size of a cabin today is 85 square meters. That's a lot to deal with, I think. I think it's nice to go out into your cabin to be in the nature, not to be in the house maybe. This is around 15 square meters, and it's only one room. You have the outdoor toilet and kitchen at the main house at the farm. But we actually bring things here to make pancakes and have a meal, and you can cook something at the oven. My concept refers back to that tradition. That the cabin is a break from everyday life. You go there, it's a place to rest, a getaway, and no maintenance. You should be in nature and have an experience of the nature. The wood is a spruce, Norwegian spruce, inside and outside. And the spruce it's no maintenance, it's going to gray with the weather. So
you don't need to do any treated or anything?
No, it's naturally treated. It's solid wood, it's not treated at all. It's going to gray a little, but yeah, then it also blends more into the nature. And we kind of brought a lot of nature into the walls as well. A really nice feeling of the woods in the walls. And this wood is made of solid elements, something called CILT, cross-laminated timber. And I put it together of, I think it's 29 elements formed into this one shape. So
29 pieces?
Yeah.
Okay, like a piece would be?
Yeah, they are 120 each. And I have composed them in a way to make them in harmonic elements. Each element is important, and together they form a harmonic whole. It's a prototype on a prefab. And I wanted to find out, can you produce it that way, but still make it beautiful? It consists of 29 elements, and took only a day to put it up. But then, of course, you have to put in the windows and and the cladding and all that. They are made in a factory, all elements. So it's actually easier as an architect to produce. You could be even more precise. That's what I love about it. You can be so precise. It's your drawing that's actually going to be built. If you have all this, you're a big group that's going to build a house, you couldn't have the same control, but this is, more easy to click it together, and it will be like you thought in the first place. I think of it as a new way of building in timber, kind of inspired by the timber that we traditionally built of when you use the whole tree. This is a kind of industrialized version of it.
Yeah, you don't notice it being pieces. I mean,
No. You can see it, but they're also the surfaces is more like one whole. Like a sculpture, maybe. When it's that small, it feels also maybe more sculptured. It's a mix of the more rectangular space and a triangular space. Maybe like in the teepee. A tent is, I like to sleep in a tent, but I appreciate solid walls, and you're more protected than in a wood construction than in a tent. I guess these solid walls protect against the cold, but also in the summer the sun is very high on the sky. And then you have this protection. You don't get the direct sun into the depth. But in winter the sun is lower, and then you get it directly in here. And then you need it. The house is formed by the light, you can say. Of course, in front you have the big framing, so you can kind of frame the view, and you are more exposed out here if you want to get as close as you can. But also you have the depth that you can kind of be more protected. Especially in Norway, the weather can be it can be very good as today, but it can be also very bad, and maybe you want to get a pause from the weather. And then you go in the back, and then you need the skylight. The form is kind of a mix of meeting with the landscape outside and how the sun moves towards the day. Yeah, and during the day, the shadows shift, the light shifts, so we get very many different experiences of light in here. It's long shadows now.
It is.
In August, the shadows get longer and longer, and then what happens?
Yeah.
This is an off-grid wood, actually. We only have the oven to heaten up the place. But because of the solid wood, they can stand the weather.
And so the walls, how thick are they?
10 centimeters. You can see the thickness of the wall here. And then here you can see the layers. It's 5 layers, cross-laminated. So it's really strong. But we wanted to test it also. Can you come here and heat up the oven, and then can the room provide enough heat during the night so you can heat up again in the morning? So that's what we want to test out also. It's a lovely sleeping room actually, very soft feeling, and we had a double bed here during the summer and just rolled it out and rolled it out again. The room has a potential, you know, you can use it as a bedroom, but you can also use it just for meditation. For work, you can, you know, have a table, it's like a studio. The concept is more the concept of a small house, more to be fit into the nature. That's the idea behind it. Because it has a smaller footprint, so you can put it wherever you want. You don't have to do something with the landscape. You fit it into the landscape. With the big cabins, you have to often rearrange the landscape, and maybe you take away the landscape that you first loved about the site.
There's this Swedish artist. He was saying, you know, how big does a cabin have to be to enable to enjoy a cup of coffee on the porch?
A glass of wine.
Yeah, or wine. Whatever your preference.
A good conversation. I think the idea of having a cabin is to have a getaway, a break from everyday life, a place to rest, to get back to shape after the stress. But now when they are getting bigger and bigger and becoming more or less your second home, maybe you will have as much to do with the house as at home. So, well, I question that development. My feeling is that some of those people would maybe like to have a more simple place to go, where you can go into nature, be outside. Simple living, breathe more. Maybe we are longing a bit back to qualities, but we can do it in a new way. And, reinvent the simplicity.